Calaroga Shark Media.
Hello and welcome to Palace Intrigue. I'm your host, Mark Francis. In The Guardian, Simon Jenkins writes that King Charles should follow Denmark's example and tell us when he'll abdicate. Jennings writes, growing old should never be a bar to work, but age does not negotiate. Britain's King Charles, after a long apprenticeship, has proved an active and popular figure in the term of his office. He has shown no sign of aging, other than perhaps his limp Christmas message. He is certainly entitled to a substantial reign after waiting so long. But not to death. Charles has a successor, William, a well-trained and evidently suited for the job. The abdication of Beatrix of the Netherlands to William Alexander in 2013 was an ideal precedent. It prompted an outpouring of gratitude for her reign, a welcome for her son, and a stronger monarchy as a result. The flamboyant conductor, André Rieu, had the Dutch joyously dancing in the streets in their thousands. There was none of the lubriciousness inevitably attached to Britain's succession through death. Abdication also indicates a nation able to keep its institutions fit for purpose. In slimming down the royal family, Charles had wisely indicated a desire to end such damaging princely sagas as those of Andrew and Harry. But he must surely go further in updating the office he should one day hand over to his son. Royal author Victoria Arbiter told Business Insider that there is no comparison between Charles and Margrethe. She's been on the throne for more than half a century. King Charles is barely 2 years in. The comparisons are unwarranted and have no merit. There's no reason why the king should abdicate. He's healthy, capable, committed, and blessed with the same sense of duty exhibited by his parents. Charles is planning on visiting Australia later this year, but Diana also writes in the news, "Trust me on this, don't come." I think there's every chance that Charles and Camilla visiting Australia won't translate into a nice bit of royal waving and the couple doing the occasional walkabout with an immediately identifiable landmark in the background, but will be a massive bust. If such a thing as an apple cart still exists, they could be about to be upset. Right now as a nation, we don't really spend much, if any, time thinking about the fact that our head of state is a bloke who lives a 22-hour flight away and turns up once or twice a decade to stay at Admiralty House and have his shoelaces ironed in close proximity to the harbour. The late Queen might still appear on our $5 notes, but we don't really think much about how deeply woven into our Constitution and our laws the monarch is. There are a couple of big flashing problems with Their Majesty's Oz 2024 joint. For one thing, they are hardly making us feel special or particularly important. We are only being treated to their presences thanks to the fact that Samoa is hosting the next Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting. They are going to be in the neighbourhood, so they're going to pop in to stand next to the first chlamydia-free koala that Taronga Zoo staffers can wrangle. I struggled to see thousands of Sydney-siders waiting hours to catch the briefest of glimpses of two septuagenarians who probably packed an entire creaking leather valise full of corn plasters. It would be a bit like seeing behind the curtain in The Wizard of Oz. This is a king? Why, he's just a wrinkly grandfather who's incredibly well-read and has spent his entire life committed to doing good. That's nice and all, but where's the magic? All of this, of course, would be a different kettle of fish if it was William and Kate, the Prince and Princess of Wales, being shunted our way. Now, those two, well, I bet we could find 2 koalas for them to pose with. Maybe 3. Palace Intrigue will be right back. The king has broken away from one of the traditions of his mother. Instead of remaining at Sandringham in Norfolk as his mother, Queen Elizabeth, did during January in her reign, King Charles and Queen Camilla spend time at Balmoral. Queen Elizabeth traditionally stayed at Sandringham until the anniversary of her father, King George VI's death on February 6th, as he passed away there. However, for the second consecutive year, Charles is breaking from this tradition by spending January in Scotland. As reported by The Telegraph, King Charles and Queen Camilla will spend the next few weeks at Birkhall, located on the Balmoral estate, which is considered the king's favourite residence and their marital home. Additionally, Charles is expected to spend time at the castle of Mai, his late grandmother's former home on the north coast. Birkhall, formerly the Scottish residence of the Queen Elizabeth and Queen Mother, became Charles' property upon her death in 2002. It quickly became a cherished residence, and it was where Charles and Camilla celebrated their honeymoon in 2005. The king has a particular fondness for the gardens at the Scottish estate, describing it as a special place that holds childhood memories, which he has enhanced over the years. When Dominic West initially secured the role of the then Prince Charles, now King Charles III, in the crown, he experienced nervousness, recognizing that costumes and makeup could only achieve a limited resemblance. He shared his feelings, saying, "I was slightly in despair. How was I going to get the physicality of this guy right? Because the only time I really look like Charles is from behind, because the hair is just perfect." Choreographer and movement director Polly Bennett helped West figure it out. Bennett instructed West to envision himself wearing an exceedingly heavy crown, fully embracing the adage, heavy as the head that wears the crown both mentally and physically. She explained, this crown is hovering over his head like a Shakespearean emblem and then putting weight on his head. She contrasts this with Prince Philip, who had a more forward-leaning posture due to not having the same royal responsibilities looming. Dominic's visualization, on the other hand, was laden with a sense of gravity. Bennett also introduced West to other unconventional exercises in order to capture Charles' slightly stuttering speech pattern and his head tilts. They worked on an exercise during rehearsals. She explains, it involved drawing a somewhat unhappy face with your forehead. Imagine there's a pencil extending from your forehead, and as you speak, you have to draw a sad face. This provides an actor with a vivid image to work with. Furthermore, they observed that Charles follows a consistent routine whenever he exits a car in public, checking his front pocket, side pocket, and then his cufflinks. Bennett interprets this behavior as a coping mechanism for navigating the constant scrutiny of the public eye. As he waits for his turn on the throne, Charles is literally waiting all the time. When you see him walking, he walks at a different speed to the others. You notice that his place in the world is not vibrant or fast because it's subdued. It's a helpful mantra to have. You're in limbo, and my job is to go, what does limbo feel like? That was a really gorgeous discovery. And there you have it. If you'd like to email us, our address is thepalacintrigue@gmail.com. Please follow us on Spotify, Apple, or your app of choice. And if you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. It really helps us out. I'm Mark Francis. My thanks to John McDermott. This is Palace Intrigue. Good times.